Cool, cool,
And
cool.
then I guess at the end, one thing we didn't practice was how to send them. Will we just send them a link in the Q&A section or?
I think, yeah, I think we probably want to send them a link and also, what do you call it? Send them a link and also tell them to go to fituremarketing.com
Fill out a form?
and fill out the form. Yep. And we can actually maybe show them.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, 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 what's going on, everyone? This is AJ. I got Greg here as well.
How we
We're gonna
doing?
we're gonna give people a few minutes and we'll jump right in and get started. So we'll give it about 2, 3 minutes, let people jump in, and we'll get started here and go over how small businesses are losing customers and the new way that buyers are choosing who wins. Appreciate you guys jumping in. Thanks for your patience. Give us about 2, 3 minutes to get rolling. And while we're waiting, if everybody just wants to put in where you're calling in from, what state you're calling in from, that'd be great.
Yeah, maybe what industry as well. That I would like to know what industry, because we could try to tailor this to whatever businesses they have, and have applicable ideas for them.
Perfect. 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 So yeah, if you just want to put in the chat where you're calling in from and what type of business you're in, we'll tailor the presentation towards what your industry is. All right, we'll give it about 2, 3 more minutes here and we'll get started. Okay, let me see here. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A section. All right, we got a couple more people jumping in. If you're just joining, give us about 2, 3 minutes and we'll get started. And then this is interactive as well. So if at any point anyone has a question, feel free to throw it in the chat or the Q&A section, or you can do raise your hand and ask a question, and this will be interactive. So we'll answer any questions that you have, and we'll make sure that you leave here with everything you need to have a great 2026. Okay, looks like we got a few more people joining, so we'll give it another minute or two, and we'll get started.
We got to make sure these people are getting on, ready to go. Start 2026 off right. I'm gonna apologize to the group, by the way. I kind of lost my voice, and so I'm powering through this, but we'll make sure that this presentation is well worth your time.
Awesome, awesome. All right, we'll give it another minute or so and then we'll jump right in. And just if you're just joining us, basically we're going to talk about how small businesses are quietly losing customers and the new way buyers are choosing how and who wins in 2026. All right. You know what, Greg? I think we can go ahead and get started, and then as people join in, they can pick up wherever we're at.
All right, kick us off, AJ.
All right. So first thing, who are we? Who are you actually listening to? So I'll give you a quick background and then I'll let Greg kind of jump in. So we're Fiture Marketing. We're an agency based out of Utah, just north of Salt Lake City. And we've been advertising online for about a decade now. Greg, you want to give a little background on yourself and then I'll give a little background on myself so people know who they're listening to.
Yeah, I'm Greg Marshall. I've been doing this for a long time. I used to own a personal training company, and this is how I learned how to do all of this marketing and advertising stuff because I needed to learn how to get customers for my own. And My background is, I love fitness and I love the marketing aspect of things, and I love helping other small businesses get more customers using different innovative ideas. And so my number one goal today is to be able to show you guys actionable steps that you can use in your business that you can start getting customers, whether you're just beginning or if you're someone scaling. And so that's kind of like who I am. And AJ, why don't you go into who you are?
Yeah, so my name's AJ. Greg and I have been working together off and on for basically the last 9, 10 years now. During that journey, we've worked with a ton of clients. We've helped scale businesses to 6, 7 figures and beyond. Also, I took a stint where I was the marketing director at a company. When I got there, they had done 85 million in sales. When I left there 2.5 years later, they did $400 million in sales. And so I've gotten a chance to see small business marketing, big business marketing, and everything in between. So Greg and I are going to share with you what we're seeing and what's working for our 70 plus agency clients across, the later half of 2025 and what we're seeing as the trend moving into 2026 for how you can win as a small business. So that's a little bit about us. What we're going to cover today is how you can win versus your competitors without spending a ton of time and money doing that. And so I know right now everything is changing. The world's changing with AI, with technology. There's more competitors than ever. There's more garbage out there than ever. And so we want to show you how you can win even if you're small or mid-size operation. Anything to add to that, Greg?
No, I mean, I think we're just going to go ahead and show you some stuff that I think you're going to be able to apply and use right now.
All right, perfect. So a couple house rules. We like to keep things light. We're very easy going. So if you have questions, throw them in the chat or throw them in the Q&A section. If you need to raise your hand and ask something, raise your hand. And this is interactive. So just anything that you need help with or any specific questions you have, jump right in and we'll get after it. All right. So the biggest opportunity that we see from, like I said, working with our 70 plus agency clients is that the tools that you're not using to increase your speed, efficiency, and conversions are where you're losing opportunities. And so, what I mean by that is that every business has what's called a customer journey. And you've probably heard that a million times, right? It's like, what is the path that someone takes in order to become a customer in your business? And every business is different, right? So if I'm a local gym, maybe someone drives by on the highway, they see that we have a now open sign, they stop in, they come talk to one of our trainers, they are sales representatives, they get signed up, they do a free training session, and then they decide to do a membership, right? Or if you're an injury attorney, maybe they see your billboard a million times, they hear your jingles on the radio, they see your YouTube ads, and then all of a sudden they get in this accident and that jingle comes right to mind, and then they pick up the phone and dial that number they've heard 1,000 times. So that is what you want to call your yellow brick road, which if you're familiar with the Wizard of Oz, it's basically you want to have a clear path for people to do business with you. You want something that's easy to follow. They don't have to think about where should I go, what do I have to do. You want to make it clear and easy. Anything you want to add to that, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing when it comes to the customer journey is to fully think about how they're going through that journey and how you can make it easier for them, right? So many times, like even like a great example is like people in real estate, right? So you have real estate agents that are trying to get more people to call them or to look at their houses or things of that nature. And the best way to make that happen is to think about what does a first-time home buyer or someone who's going to the next home that they want to buy or sell, what do they need to know? What do they need to see? How do they need to feel? How do they need to feel about me and what I'm presenting to them, right? And then you want to create pieces of content along this customer journey to make sure that you're giving them everything that they need so that it's a no-brainer to work with you.
Yeah, and the thing that we've seen after, I do all of our sales calls. I've probably done 500 sales calls over the last couple years. And what I see is that most people have holes in their journey. And what I mean by holes in the journey is that they're not doing enough or they're doing too much. and they have this muddy, dirty path that makes it inefficient for them to be able to get clients. And the reason we know how to do this, not just because we have a bunch of clients that we do it for, but we had to build our own journey for our business, right? So we had to go through and spend tens of thousands of dollars on testing, tens of thousands of dollars trying to get things right while getting them wrong to finally figure out what the best path is to actually acquire clients, acquire customers, acquire strangers from the internet. And Greg is actually, the guy that runs all of our ads. He's the owner, and he's the one forking the money. So you want to add anything to that, Greg?
Yeah, most businesses actually, you've got the potholes there, right? And typically, most businesses are getting in their own way to get more customers without really understanding how they're doing that, right? So they all have the goal of, I want to get more customers. I need more people through the door. If I only have more people to talk to, I would get more sales. If more traffic came to my website, I would get more sales. But here's a couple of pitfalls that a lot of businesses do that cause them to not get it, right? Number one, they're doing things like the spray and pray method. They're not doing things with any type of strategy. The second thing is they're missing pieces in their funnel. They don't have email, they don't have text message, they don't have their website's not done, they don't got pixels installed, right? The third thing is they don't have correct sales scripts to then close those people once they get leads coming through the door, right? Or to go ahead and say, like, if you're selling e-commerce, they don't have the right copywriting, or AKA the words written on the page to get people to want to buy. They don't have the right images. They don't have the right videos for branding. And these are all things that they might seem like people try to do these things in isolation. Like, well, I'll just do ads, or I'll just do branding, or I'll just do organic. But what they're missing is this. That would be like if you just said, I'm only going to take care of the first step the customer's going to do, and then I'm going to leave the customer to themselves to do the rest. That's a huge mistake, but that's a mistake many, many business owners make.
Yeah, we see it all the time. And so what we want to identify is basically where the holes exist, right? And like I said, over the last couple of years, I've probably taken 500 plus sales calls, and these are the common themes that I see over and over and over again. And maybe you can relate to these. Number one, I don't get enough leads. I don't get enough people that are interested, right? That's something that we hear all the time. And we're going to show you how to actually patch this. We're going to show you how to actually patch these holes so you have a smooth road to customers being able to do business with you. And we're actually going to show you how to do it with AI, which is something we didn't actually mention in the promotion of this, but I think that that's something that a lot of people want to know how to do. So we're going to show you how to use AI to implement a lot of this. Number one, not getting enough leads. Number two, not getting leads, but not getting a hold of them, meaning like you're getting these people coming in, but they're not actually responding to you. Number three, you're getting a hold of the leads, but they're bad quality. They're not qualified. They don't have the money. They weren't really interested, whatever else, all the things that we hear. Number four, good quality. Like I'm talking to the right type of people, but I can't get them to close, right? That's another problem. If you got all these people coming through the door, but you're not actually selling to them, that's a huge hole that we see people have. And then number five, I'm closing people, but essentially they're not spending enough money with me. They're only buying once and they're disappearing, or they want to buy my thing that's super cheap, but they're not buying my expensive thing, right? Or my expensive service. So these are all holes that a lot of small business owners have in their business that are costing customers, that are costing revenue, that are costing sales, etc. So we're going to show you how to patch each and every one of these holes. So the first thing that I want to share with you is when you don't have enough leads, that means that you're probably not doing enough research and preparation. Okay. So we can tell you this. I'll talk through it and then Greg will jump in. But one of the things that we've learned after spending, I don't know, millions of dollars in ad spend is that the more work that you do on the front end, preparing for your campaigns, preparing for your marketing, preparing for your sales, is going to pay extreme dividends on the back end. And with all these tools now, I got 4 different tools here. I don't know which way I'm pointing, but we got ChatGPT, we got Gemini, we got Claude, and we got Perplexity. All of these tools have what's called a deep research method. And what these deep research methods are is, let's say you own a barbershop in Philadelphia, right? You can literally go to one of these tools and say something like, hey, I run a barbershop in this part of Philadelphia. I want to know what the competition's like. I want to know what people are upset about, what they're looking for, the things that make them really upset, that, et cetera. I can go in and ask for all this research, and I'll show you how to do this in the next couple slides. And it's incredible what you get back, which will help you to patch these holes that we're talking about. Anything to add on this slide, Greg? I know I caught you while you're drinking some water.
Yeah. So the reason why, if you want to get more leads, right? And the reason why we say this first is because this is the number one rule or commandment broken. People go right into running an ad or right into organic posts, or they move too quickly in that sense, and they don't have a perfect idea of who they really should be working with. And because of that, their messaging doesn't work.
Yeah, and the other thing too is there is a lot of noise today. Like there are so many people putting stuff out there, and it doesn't work for 99% of them. And the reason it doesn't work for 99% of them is because of this part of it. They're not doing enough homework or enough research, which doesn't have to mean hours, right? We're going to show you how to do this smart, not long, but they're not doing enough research to figure out, how can I attract the right person? How can I differentiate our business in the market versus everyone else, including doing nothing? So with that being said, I want to show you how to use these tools to get even better results. So the reality is everybody's using ChatGPT nowadays, but the GPT is typically limited by you. And what I mean by limited by you is that you may not know how to use it to the best of its ability. Okay. So I want to give you an example of something that I would recommend you do if you really want to get the best results in 2026. So I just use Perplexity for this example, but you can use any of them: GPT, Gemini, Claude, etc. I said, create me a detailed report about the desires, fears, pain points, objections local small business owners have when it comes to choosing a landscaping company, and why they choose the companies that they decide to go with. And I selected this research tool. So all of these tools have a research option, and I selected the research option. And the reason I selected that is because if you just do like a normal inquiry, you're going to get back a basic, like templated response. But if you do research, these tools are actually going to go out to the internet. They're going to search, they're going to scour the web, and they're going to come back with what the real answer is. It's not going to just be what the GPT's knowledge is, or whatever the learning the language model is. So I want to show you an example of what we got back from this. I got back, I don't know if you guys can see it, but a 17-page report that goes over exactly what I asked it for. So I don't know about you, but I've never had a client that came to me with a 17-page report of exactly
Never.
what their dream customer is looking for, their pain points, what they hate, what they love, etc. So, Greg, talk about a little bit about why data first is super important before creating and before starting that process.
Yeah, and you know what? And before we forget, for any of you guys who want these tools, leave a comment below or go ahead and message. We'll go ahead and send these tools out to you so you know how to use them if you've never used them before. They're unbelievably powerful. But the reason why data first, then create is kind of like, if you're gonna try to assemble a piece of equipment, right? Or you're gonna try to go to the gym, or you're gonna try to drive somewhere or fly somewhere, you would never just say, yeah, I'm just going to get on a plane and wherever that plane takes me, that's what I'm going to do. The plane is not the problem. There's no destination. There's no specific type of person or area that you're trying to go after, which ends up causing people to essentially waste a lot of effort, waste a lot of time. And so data first allows you to basically give yourself a chance to succeed with your actual marketing and have a plan. Because AJ, I know you've never heard this, but I've talked to clients before and they're like, I don't really know what's working. I don't know why it's not working. I don't know why my competitors are having better results than me. And it goes on, right? And the answer to that is very simple. It's because you don't have a plan. You're
Yeah.
you're just kind of doing the spray and pray method and hoping, hey, hopefully someone comes in here and buys. When really all of the people that you're looking at that have success with their marketing, they start here, all of them, and they have a game plan. And if you were to talk to your competitors or talk to the main players in this space about why do they get customers at the rate that they get them, I guarantee you they have a report that will tell you this is my customer, this is why they buy, this is why they don't buy, this is where they live, this is how many times they need to see us before they buy, et cetera, right? If you currently don't have this in your business, you're flying blind.
Yeah, okay. So we had a question here. It said I'm looking at my chat pro, but I'm not seeing the same research icon.
Okay.
What I'll do is at the end of the presentation, I'll actually show you how to go in. I'll make a note and I'll show you how to actually go in and find that research icon. And maybe we can even, jump on a call and I can walk you through it. So I'll keep that for you, Laura, as we move through. So as we keep going here, um, what you want to do after you get these reports, you then want to prompt with data, right? So it's not just going out and saying, "Hey, I run a barber shop in West Philadelphia, create me an ad." You come to the ad with data, but that's not enough. You then want to have great prompting. Okay. So I want to show you the difference between what I just said, hey, create me an ad for my barbershop in West Philadelphia, and what I actually prompted with here. Okay. So I want you to act as a top 0.1% copywriter and use the genius of marketing legends such as Dan Kennedy, Russell Brunson, Eugene Schwartz, David Ogilvy, Frank Kern, and P.T. Barnum. I want you to write 10 different Facebook ads using best practices, each targeting a different desire and overcoming an objection using a proven framework that converts. And then I also want you to write me 10 different headlines for Facebook ads that fall within the guidelines of Meta's recommendations that are highly likely to convert both cold and warm audiences. Make sure you use data from the report that I provided you to understand the research of these homeowners that these people care about and how they make decisions. So my head's in the way, but can you see the difference between the two prompts? Like, hey, create me an ad for my barbershop and something like this. And let's see how the difference in outcomes is. Okay. So the main difference is when you prompt with, hey, write me an ad for my barbershop, you're going to get a basic response that anyone and everyone else would get if they put in the same prompt. When you prompt with data and a very in-depth, thorough prompt, you're going to get an in-depth and thorough response back. Okay. So I tested this, and these are the type of results that you get where you can actually see. Sorry, I'm pointing the wrong direction here. You can actually see you're getting the framework that you want. You're getting it overcoming objections. It's actually pulling data from the reports and using that to get the response. And Greg, who spends what do we spend? 15K a month on our advertising?
Yeah, so sometimes more.
What makes the difference? Well, how big of a difference is it when you go and have like a very basic, like normal written ad versus something that's included with data? What kind of differences do you see?
It's a massive, as far as conversion rates and responsiveness from people, it's a massive difference because what happens is everyone, and I know no one in this room is making this mistake, but you know, everyone will put it into ChatGPT or use very generic language that just says like, "Hey, are you in the, whatever, Arkansas area looking to do this? Call me today," right? And they're completely bypassing all the necessary steps that are needed in order to get a response, right? Triggering emotion, getting people to desire it, getting people to want to do it, getting people to act and move and why they should do it, and triggering points. There's all these pieces that you got to have in place to make the ads work. By having a more detailed description using, AI tools, it's going to give you things that actually gets people to respond, which is what people want. When we talk to businesses, they never say, "Hey, we want to work with you because we just want more people to see us." Right? Like that's not the desire. It's usually people are calling us because they either want more people to respond, or they're not even getting anyone to respond. And so that's how you fix it.
And this doesn't matter whether you're using ads, whether you're doing organic, it's still the same, right? Whatever your marketing is, even if you're writing flyers or you're doing, radio ads or whatever it is you're doing to promote your business, you still want to approach it with this same level of depth. Because
Yep.
if not, you're going to get the same responses as the other 10,000 people that asked ChatGPT the same exact question, and it's all going to look the same. The only way to be different is to have a different process. And so that's a huge opportunity that I see. Now, okay, great. I got good ads or copy, like what I'm saying. Now, how do I actually get like images and videos and all those kind of things? Well, you do the same thing, right? So you can go to these AI tools. So this one was from ChatGPT, and I said, based off the data from this PDF, what are 5 shocking pattern interrupt image ideas that we can use for Facebook ads that the image will speak for itself, causing the target audience to stop their scroll and immediately pay attention to start reading the ad and looking at what they're saying. I want you to act as if you are a master in, I spelled that wrong, but neural marketing and an expert in human psychology, specifically when it comes to capturing attention. Okay, so I put that into GPT, and then it comes back. GPT, like I pay for GPT Pro, the $200 version, and it actually created all the images for me. But what you really want is it gave me ideas for each of these, and then I can send these to our graphic designer. I can send these to, whoever it is, and have them go out and actually create these and come back with it. Or you can take these and you put them in a tool like Google Gemini and get these ads. So all of these ads right here, I just took a website, I threw it inside of Google Gemini, and it literally came back to me with all these ads right here, just from the website, right? This literally took me 5 minutes to create, and what I did is I prompted it a little bit differently. So one of them I said, act as if you're David Ogilvy, which is the guy that the movie, the series Mad Men was made after. Another one I said, act as if you're Russell Brunson, which is this one over here. Another one I said, act as if you're Dan Kennedy, which is this one over here. So the reason you do this, and I'll actually pass this to Greg. Greg, why is it important to test different creatives and be able to produce large amounts of creatives fast?
Yeah, well, both on an organic and paid side, website side, doesn't matter. Wherever you're using these images, the reason why you want to go ahead and create these are great for testing, great to see what gets customers to actually respond, right? And then at the end of the day, you're all working to get better responses. That's what we're all trying to get, better responses. And the fastest way to do that is to test more frequently, more often, to make sure that you can figure out what messaging resonates with them. So then when you find these things, you start using it more and more often, right? A common term that's used is called scale, right? How do I scale my ads? How do I scale my content? And scale, all it is how do I do more? A whole lot more, right? The way to do that is by creating more creatives and thinking about this because at the end of the day, most businesses the things that we're offering are very similar to other things, right? So the one hack is to get very, very good at marketing, right? Marketing is the key. That's why it's always talked about. If your business is currently not doing the numbers that you want, it's because you have a marketing problem, right? You do not know how to get more customers or get those customers to buy more. And what that basically means is you're not doing this part of it, which is tremendously helpful. And I understand why many business owners don't do it because they're so busy with all the other stuff that they're doing in their day. But these are tools that you can use right away to save you time, to get you out there, to start promoting your brand.
And I'll give you an idea of the importance of this. We have a client who's a lawyer out of Chicago, and he works with people that are looking to raise funding for their business. We had a landing page that for every 100 people that visited, he would get one lead, right? The only thing that we changed on the page is what we're saying. Nothing else changed. The style stayed the same, the format, the layout, everything else stayed the same. And that went from 1 out of 100 to 10 out of 100. Okay. So let me ask you this. If you have a website and let's say 1 out of every 100 people visit your website and they actually contact you, Imagine if that same 100 people visited, the only thing you had to change was what you were saying, and now you got 10 leads instead of one lead. Do you think that would make your business more efficient? Do you think that that would make you have a lower customer acquisition cost? The answer is yes, right? It's obviously yes, but these are the simple things that you can do, the simple hacks that you can do to have better performance than your competitors. Because at the end of the day, we're all competing for the same customers. It's a matter of who can play this game better is going to be the person that wins. And so as we
Whoever
keep going, yep.
whoever's faster, right? Faster and more efficient. The new game is this. We're almost now all at an even playing field. Now it's just a matter of who can execute quicker. And the way to execute is use these tools. Use these tools to your advantage. They're available to anyone. And if you use these tools, you can get more customers. You can get more people to buy from you. And you'll be able to have that, a lot of business owners struggle with this, the yo-yo roller coaster effect. I got customers today, I got none tomorrow. Well, this is how you solve that by creating and developing a system, and we highly recommend using AI to do that.
It's just a shortcut. You got to look at it as like another member of your team. These are some video ads that I created that I'll send you out. I'll send out the deck afterwards so you guys have it. But these are some video ads that I created, literally following the same process and getting videos that you can use for your ads as well. And it literally takes, 2, 3 minutes to do. So we talked about not getting enough leads, but now let's talk about your getting leads, but you're not getting a hold of them. Okay. Typically, the problem that we see here, considering that you're advertising or you're marketing in a reputable place, is that it's taking too long to respond, and that's with the caveat: what you're saying in your ads and your videos and your images is clear enough for people to understand. So there's not this ambiguity. Okay, how do you solve this problem? Well, speed to lead equals more sales. Okay, so I just asked ChatGPT. I said, hey, tell me the difference of how businesses are able to convert leads based on how quickly they respond. And this is what it came up with. Responding within 1 minute of a lead inquiry is linked to up to 391% higher conversions compared to slower follow-ups. Okay, the next one, leads are about 21 times more likely to convert if contacted within 5 minutes rather than waiting long. Number three, around 78% of customers choose the vendor that responds first, regardless of the price or other factors. So we're all human, right? So if you have a sales person or a few sales guys on your team, or if you're the person doing the sales for your business or responding to inquiries, well, let's use that same barbershop analogy. You're in the middle of a haircut, or you're, coaching up one of your team members or whatever. You're on the phone with a vendor, whatever it is. That lead comes in. You don't see it until 30 minutes later when you check your email, and then you got to figure out when you can actually get to them. That lead is gone. That
Yep.
lead, and Greg and I can attest to this because we've had to build these systems out to solve for this in our own business. So, Greg, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is the big mistake you want to avoid. And once again, I know no one makes this mistake, but when people get leads, no matter if it's from ads, organic, a speech they made, whatever, is they do not respond quick enough, right? And then what will end up happening is like, hey, the leads that I got, for some reason, like people fill out my forms and I never hear from them. And then I ask a follow-up question, well, when did you call them? Whatever. Well, I got them on Monday, but I got really busy and then blah, blah, blah. So then I call them on Thursday or Friday. That's like in lead internet years, that's like 100 years later. They've already probably bought from someone else and have now I'm trying to solve a new problem, right? So speed to lead is so important that you can make the argument this right here is more important than even getting more leads. Because if you get a lot of leads and you never contact them, then it's better to just have no leads, right? Because you're going to get more discouraged. You're not going to get the results that you want. And you're going to believe that whatever you're doing doesn't work when a simple fix is just to make sure that you respond immediately. Now, the question that normally comes next from a client is, well, what if a lead fills out a form at midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning? What am I supposed to do with that? Am I supposed to be a 24-hour call service? Well, I think AJ has a solution for that.
Yeah, I'll show you our solution. Okay, so I want you to meet Kevin. All right. So Kevin, we use this, and we're very transparent here. We use a program called Go High Level, and inside of Go High Level, we built a conversation AI, which is called Kevin. Okay, and Kevin reaches out to leads as soon as they come in, and he actually helps us qualify the leads. So Kevin, immediately as soon as a lead comes in, will reach out, ask them a couple of qualifying questions, and then determine whether or not it makes sense to schedule them for an appointment or whether they're not really there yet. And I'll talk a little bit more about this too, because one of the things is, hey, I get the leads, but they're not qualified. That's the next thing that we're going to talk about here. So you can build a Kevin to just contact the leads and get them on your calendar, get them scheduled, or you can build a Kevin to actually qualify leads before they actually can schedule with you or build things out. And these tools are relatively easy to build. It just needs some data, it needs some input as to who you are, what you're looking for, what makes a good lead, what questions you want to ask, right? So all these things, you take an hour of your day to sit down and get this information out of your brain or out of your team's brain and get it onto a document. And then you feed that to a Kevin, and Kevin's going to have everything it needs to be able to convert those people into actual
Oh,
appointment.
you know what I like to kind of hammer to give the audience some real data. So when we first were running, this is years ago, when we first were running opt-in campaigns to book a call or to call me, the notorious, hey, I do this, my name is Greg, call me, and I'd like to talk to you about my service. So when people would do that, they'd book a call. Our show rate, okay, our show rate would be 20%, right? 2 out of 10. Okay, we implemented Kevin. We had it get as high as up to 80%. 8 out of 10, right? Versus 2 out of 10. That makes a tremendous difference because what that does is it allows us to have more opportunities to actually sell what we have. Because as a great mentor of mine told me, I don't know, over a decade ago, you can't sell to an empty chair, right? Someone has to be in that chair. Someone's got to be there to listen, to sell. And if you don't got anyone there, it don't matter how many people said they're gonna be there. If they're not there, you can't sell them.
Exactly. And I think the big thing with Kevin is whether you're the person doing the sales calls or whether you have a sales team or whatever it is, you want to be maximizing every opportunity. And if you can't get a hold of people and if people don't show up, you're going to be frustrated. And I know because I'm the sales guy that has been frustrated, right? And so, with that being said, having a Kevin, having some type of solution to instantly contact your leads, even if it's just to give some information so that the lead is not in the abyss, waiting for you to call, which they're not really doing. They're actually going to your competitor's website to see who responds to them first, right? But even if your lead is sitting there waiting, you want to have a solution to maximize. So when we looked at that yellow brick road with all the holes in it, want to patch that hole so it's not a hole anymore. It's still a smooth ride to the next step. Okay. The next problem that we talked about is you're getting a hold of the leads, but they're bad quality. Hey, these leads suck. Hey, these leads are no good. Typically, it's one of three things, and maybe it's more. What I typically see it is message, the audience, or the qualifying process. Is there anything you would add to this, Greg?
No, but what I'm going to do is take a hammer and absolutely smash it when it comes to it's the message. Okay? People like, and I've made this mistake before, right? So I'm not excluding myself from this. I'm just saying if you're not getting the types of leads that you want, it's always a message problem. Always. Because if your message is too generalized, right? Like, hey, I do, and I see this often in these particular, hey, I do real estate. Hey, I,
Yeah.
I I do insurance. Hey, I'm a commercial broker. Hey, I'm this. Hey, I'm that, right? I'm a physical therapist. Give me a call and I'll give you a free assessment to help you out, right? That sounds like everybody else, right? Every single person saying that, and then they wonder, like, why am I getting people that are very cold, right? They don't seem to be very interested. Here's my favorite. They never have any money, right? Because no one in this world has any money. And they want to know, why do I keep getting this person? Well, it's because your messaging isn't well thought out. You're not using the words that people use that would indicate they have money, right? You're not using the words that would indicate they're in the local area. You're not using the words of whatever it is that they want. They want an elite physical therapist. Do they want a beginner physical therapist? Do they want a personal trainer? Do they want the best haircut in the world and spend $100 a cut? Or do they just want quick and fast? You, like our mentor, Dan Kennedy, has said, okay, if you have leads or customers that you do not like, guess whose fault that is, right? It's our fault, all of ours as business owners, because we didn't say the right message. We're attracting the wrong people. For example, if you're like, I got a bunch of people that they never want to buy anything, right? But your ad says, enter this sweepstakes to get a free cruise. What do you think you're going to get? It's just a bunch of people who want a free cruise, right? So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to messaging. So I'm just hammering that.
Yeah, and messaging is one of those things where you change one word, it literally changes the whole representation of what you're saying. And so it's that important when you're writing these things out. And so the one thing that I want to talk about, let's say you have your messaging right and you have your audience right. So you have those two things dialed in, right? You know you're targeting the right audience and you know you have the right messaging and you still are not getting quality leads. Well, here's the scale that you want to think about. And this is something that every business owner has to make a decision on. I guess it's reverse here. Quality is based on how much you pre-qualify people, right? So what I mean by that is if we wanted quantity, I can just ask for an email address and get 1,000 leads at $1 a piece, right? So I can spend $1,000 and get 1,000 emails at $1 a piece if I just want quantity, okay? But is that person actually the right person that I want to talk to? Is
Most
that
likely not.
yeah,
Most
most
likely
likely
not.
not, right? And then on the other side, I can spend $1,000 and get one lead, but have like a, extensive application. And is that person likely who I want to talk to? Probably yes, right? But you got to find the balance between these two. Okay, most business owners that I talk to, like I said, I've done over 500 sales calls over the last couple of years here. Most people that I talk to say, I want quality leads. And
Mhm.
I'll tell you what we've seen, okay? Quantity precedes quality. But what you have to do is actually adjust along the way. So what I mean by that is if you want people coming in from your organic posts, from your flyers, from your billboards, from your social media ads, from whatever it is that you're doing, start basic, get name, email, and phone number, okay? And then test it. Okay, I got, 100 people to this page, 20 of them actually contacted us, but of those 20, we got to them all within 1 minute, but only 3 of them were quality. So that means that I am not getting the type of person that I want. What is a question or two or three that I can ask people so that my team or my sales guy or myself will know that this person is a quality lead? And then you add a few questions, right? And then you do another test. All right, I got another 100 people to the site. This time I only got 15 through, but of those 15, 10 of them were the right type of people that we want to be talking to. You have to determine this balance for yourself because the mistake people make is when they go and start advertising or promoting or marketing or hiring an agency or whatever else, they haven't thought about this part of it. What do I want? Do I want more volume? Do I have a sales team that is full of sharks? They're going to go out, they're going to call these people, they're going to be able to hunt them down, they're going to be able to, call them a million times, they're going to be able to close these deals. Or do I want people coming in kind of pre-qualified because I have a receptionist that's calling them to actually close
Let,
them?
let me step in on this too. A very simple way to gauge which one you should err closer to. Okay? If you are already flooded with business, you can go more on the quality. Okay. If you are not, I recommend quantity. Okay. Until you get busy enough to then move to quality. The other thing is this: if you're really good at sales, go the quantity route. If you're not really, like, if you don't feel very confident in your sales ability, go a little bit more on the quality side. And the reason for that is if you get quantity and you're really good at sales, you could probably get and capture a couple more people, into your business because you're very good at sales, right? But if you're not great, sometimes the quantity can almost discourage you, right? Because you're like, oh man, I talk to too many people or whatnot. So it's also a skill thing, right? Like if you have quality, if it's very, very deep quality, a lot of times what I see is people are doing this because they're either way too busy, right? And they're trying to control that, or they're just at the point where they're just trying to get a better feel, or maybe they don't feel as comfortable at selling, right? And so that's how you determine which side you should do. But there's still balance.
Yeah, and you got to kind of figure out that balance for yourself, but always remember quantity precedes quality. So you want to do quantity of leads first because if you don't have anyone to talk to, it doesn't matter. You get quantity first, and then you can be more selective and get quality. Okay, and then let's talk about the next one: good quality leads, but not closing. And this, we've had clients that have had this problem before, and Greg could share some stories with you of what we've done to help people. But typically, that's a bad sales process. And what I mean by that is if the person on, we have a client that has a nice phrase. He calls it a RWA, ready, willing, and able lead, right? A real ready, willing, and able prospect. If you have RWA leads, but they're not closing, that tells you there's something about your sales process or your offer that is not converting them. So,
Here's
Greg,
here's what not to do. If you're getting good quality, do not fix the marketing. Don't touch your ads, don't touch your organic strategy, don't touch your email marketing strategy, don't touch any of it. Only focus on the sales process because I've seen this error too. Man, they're not closing. It must just be the ad. And they just keep tweeting, they just keep, recycling the problem. When the problem is they just need to focus, they're focused on the wrong process.
Greg, tell the story of our lady that helps nurses start their scrubs business. Talk about what happened with her.
Well, she kept getting more and more leads. She kind of felt like she wasn't getting the closes and the conversions that she wanted, right? We changed nothing in her budget, nothing in the way she was marketing. We just focused on her sales process and she exploded because it wasn't the lead generation. It was all the sales process and what was being said. And when I discovered what they were saying, I was like, well, no wonder you're not getting any sales. The sales process was very broken, random type of acts. There no follow up, no sequencing, no reasons for why they were doing stuff. It was just all random. Once we fixed their sales process, her business exploded and she immediately had her best month, month one. And all it was the sales process.
Yeah, a bad sales process can kill good leads. And so you want to be very conscious of this. And I'm going to show you some ways to do this with AI. So first and foremost, you got to understand the buying process, which means you got to understand what happens before people come in, during the sales process, and then after the sales process. And then once you understand that, you design systems for every part of this. Okay. So what do I mean by systems? Well, I'll give you an example for us. When someone books a call with us, they get a text message like you see here, and then there's actually a link that they can click on to go and watch where I'm talking about what to expect, what they're going to see, et cetera, et cetera. And then we send them out the sequence of emails that goes out prior to them ever jumping on a phone call with me that tells them what's going to happen, tells them about different testimonials and stories, goes over all these different things. So that way, by the time someone jumps on a call with me, or doesn't show up for the call, that's because they've either disqualified themselves or because they're showing up as a RWA prospect, ready, willing, and able, because they've gone through the process of seeing what we want them to see prior to ever having a conversation with us. And so as we keep going here, the first thing that you should do is you should build out scripts. And so when I say building out scripts, is that you want to actually, if you're freestyling, you're probably in trouble. And Greg, you've been in sales for what, 20 plus years? So talk
Yeah.
about the importance of having a
Don't age me
script.
like that now. Don't age me.
You were 13 though.
Yeah, I was 10 years old when I started. No, I mean, the biggest thing is you got to have a script, a template, a format, a process if you want to have an opportunity to sell. Because I've coached tons of salespeople. I've done sales for a long time. Anytime they just try to shoot from the hip, it always blows up in their face because they can't figure out why they're not closing deals because they're not following a process. Of course, you can inject your own personality into it, but I highly, highly recommend if you have a business and you do not have a script, you're leaving a lot of money on the table simply not because you're not good, not because your business isn't good, but it's because you're not following a process where you can become more confident in it.
Yeah, and as a guy that used to coach high school football for 10 years, it's kind of like me going to the game without having my playbook. I might have designed all these great plays and all these great ways to win the game, but if I left it in the locker room, I can't recall all of those. So as a salesperson, or whether it's you, a sales team, whoever it is, you want to have a proven process that takes someone emotionally, logically, and with urgency through a journey to get them to say yes to whatever it is that you have to offer. And if you don't have that, you're probably leaving money on the table. So you can use an AI to build your script, but then this is also pretty cool. You can actually, and I highly recommend you do this, you can actually analyze your sales calls. So I built a little GPT over here that you can see where it's called Sales Coach GPT, and you can literally record your calls, put in the transcript, and then it'll actually give you like a close probability. And it'll tell you, based on this expertise and what you said and how the call went, this is your likelihood to be able to actually close a client. And this is like watching game tape, right? If you're not actually reviewing what's happening, that's another hole that can be patched on your journey and in your process in your business. Um, I think the what I would actually recommend you do is start at the end of this journey and then work your way backwards, meaning that if your sales process is broken, don't start running ads. Don't start putting money, more leads and more marketing and this and that, because you're just sending people into a broken process. And then you work your way backwards from what we've covered versus working your way forward. And then the last one is closing. So you're actually getting sales, but people are only buying one time or they're not spending enough money with you. And that can hamper your ability to grow because he who can spend the most to acquire a customer wins. That's another quote from our guy Dan Kennedy, who's a marketing legend that Greg and I have listened to for many years. Greg, what does that actually mean?
Well, I mean, basically, if you have a strong business model, right, and people spend a lot of money with you, you're in a competitive space. If you choose to run ads, whoever can spend the most wins all the auctions, gets the most exposure, gets the most customers. And it's very simple because if you don't have a good business model, you can't afford to do it, right? But if you think these things through, most businesses can afford it. They're usually under investing, but they're also under educated of their own business model, if that makes sense. They don't understand their business model and how they could use it to their advantage. But guess what? Most businesses don't, right? It's only the top businesses that understand this. The ones you see advertising all the time, those are the ones that understand, right?
And I'll,
Because they know how much money that a customer is worth. And here's the thing, it's okay if someone only spends a little bit of money with you in the beginning, because you could always expand that relationship. But you got to know your business model. And if you don't, you won't be able to aggressively grow against competitors who can.
Exactly. And I'll give you an example of this. So Greg and I play around with these GPTs and stuff all the time. So I created this a while back, and one of the things that you can do is create these custom GPTs, which you basically give them a job. Think of it like an employee. You give it one job, and then you use that expertise in that one area to then get an answer, right? So I just gave it this example. I have a massage therapy business. I charge $70 for a 1 hour massage. I get about 7 clients per day, but my problem is that the clients only come back and see me maybe once a month, and I'm constantly having to get new clients. I would love to be able to charge and get more revenue from my current clients. I need a better system for essentially creating recurring revenue from my clients. So instead of only making $70 per month per client, I can make like $200 per month per client or something along those lines. I need to figure out the best way to be able to do that because it's really expensive to acquire a customer, and I don't want to have to do this forever. I want to be able to build a really nice recurring revenue model for my business. Okay. So this is what I prompted this with. And remember, this is a custom GPT. So it's not just asking general chat GPT. And what it came back with is this whole plan for how I can create this reoccurring revenue model and average out $200 per client per month. Now, it's some of the ideas are going to be great, some of the ideas are going to suck, but at least you get the ideas, so then you can take it and practice and test things. And Greg, actually talk about how we've done this with video and funnel and all these different things that we do and how that's helped us to grow our revenue.
Yeah, so what angle do you want me to go? Like just
From us being a purely media buying company before to now all the other things that we can offer and how that helps us to generate more revenue.
oh yeah, I mean, because what that does is we've discovered we know clients don't need just media buying. They don't need just a video or they don't need just a website. What they really need is all of it, right? Because marketing is a system. It's not just one thing and then, boom, there you go. You grow your business to forever. And so by using tools like this, it helps us give us ideas on what else we can offer to our clients because our goal is to be able to offer all the way through the full cycle, right? If you need video, you need email marketing, you need a website, you need this, because you need all of it. And that's what we want to provide. And it's provided a tremendous opportunity for us to serve our clients better because by not offering more to customers, you're actually underserving them, right? You're underserving them. And what I want to do is I want to make sure I don't forget Rose. Rose, yes, this is recording. Um, We'll make sure to get this over to you as well. And the other question you had, Rose had a question. If you're short in time, wouldn't you want quality rather than quantity? Talking to people that probably aren't interested. Yes, see, so that's where you really want to think through your process and go, well, if I don't have a lot of time, then yes, put in some more pre-qualifiers in there. The other thing to get really good at, depending on if you're using a phone or if you're in person, is like if you're using the phone, you always have the option of you can kind of pre-qualify people quickly over the phone to kind of understand like how much time should I spend on this call versus the next. And it's not a disrespect towards the person. It's just that if they're not qualified, you want to be able to respectfully get off the call and respect both of your guys' time, right? So if you're using a phone or a Zoom, you can do it that way. But absolutely, if you're short on time, you do want to get quality and just figure out how many questions or how many resistant or friction points should I do to make sure that it's not either too little or too many, right? And so that's up to you. But hopefully that answers your question, Rose. I appreciate it. And anyone else in this group, if you guys got questions, I mean, we're right here, right? So I would consider us professionals at, getting people to respond to stuff, buying from us, running ads, doing sales, doing all that. So if you're on here and you've got a question about your business, don't hesitate to ask because we can answer that question right now.
Yeah, we're gonna do some Q&A at the end, and we're coming up. We got the last few slides here, but I just wanted this was just a continuation of the last slide, but it came up with 10 different ideas, right? So you can see step 1 over here, all the way to step 10. It gave me 10 or 11 different ideas for how we can grow that business model. And so when you have that many ideas, it starts stimulating because maybe you've been doing your business for a long time and you're kind of in this old paradigm, or you're only thinking in a limited space. And so you want to use tools or other people to be able to expand how you think. One of the great things that we see is like people taking an idea from a completely different industry and then implementing it over here for their business. So, for example, maybe you're in real estate and you see this person that is in the health and fitness space, and they're doing something really interesting that you can then leverage to build your real estate business, right? So you don't want to get stuck in just doing what your industry is doing, and these tools can actually help you to do that. So the new way that buyers are choosing who wins is by who creates the best path with the least resistance and the most value. What does that mean to you, Greg? Because I don't even know if you've seen this slide. So what does this
Yeah.
actually mean to you?
I mean, basically to me, it's just the best path to, if I'm the consumer, the best path for me, right? Right. So speaking to me with the least resistance, which means I don't have to do a whole bunch of stuff and I get to get the most value. Right. So least resistance meaning I don't have to do, you're not making me jump through a billion hoops or making it hard to figure, believe it or not, businesses do sometimes make it hard to buy from them or to fill forms out, or their links aren't working, or their website's not working, their emails don't work. And then the most value to me, right? So whatever value that matters to me the most, I'm going to go with the best path. That's the easiest. That gives me the highest return. That's how human beings work.
Yeah, and one of the best analogies, again from our guy Dan Kennedy, is he says, imagine that your dream client is a blob of a human being laying on the couch with a bag of potato chips on their belly, the remote in their right hand, and they're watching their favorite TV show, eating chips and ice cream. And your job is to do such an incredible job of marketing that you get that person to put down the remote, turn off the TV, throw the chips on the floor, sprint to their wallet, and get ready to hand you their credit card. And if you think about how you market and how you sell with that parrot, with that kind of like imagination, you're going to do a much better job of marketing and advertising because most people think about the opposite. Most people think that their dream customer is sitting there, wallet in hand, shaking, chomping at the bit to give them money, but that's just not how it works. Unless you're Apple, and you just released the new iPhone, 28 plus, or
Yeah, but
unless
even Apple advertises and markets and has to
correct.
tell you when it's coming out and stuff like that. So even one of the richest companies in the world has to do this.
And they actually create that desire. So the Apples of the world actually create the desire, which is why the customers are sitting there waiting in line, or they used to. Okay. So right now, you have two choices. You can do it yourself, or if you'd like to work with us, we do have more spots available, and I'll actually answer the question that Laura had, and then I'll show you guys what you can do if you're interested in having a conversation with us. So I'm going to share my other screen here so you guys can see it. So first and foremost, I'm here in ChatGPT, and Laura had the question about research. So if you want, you can hit this plus sign here, and then you click this deep research button, and you should see this little tab pop up. And if you ask the question with this deep research on, you're going to get a much more expansive answer than you will if you just ask regular chat GPT the question. Okay. And so if you guys are interested in working with us, our website here is fituremarketing.com, Fiture marketing.com. And then all you do to get into our process, and you can even do this just to see how this whole thing works and get a text from Kevin and everything. You come down here to the contacts page, and then you fill out these few questions and you click send. And then after you click send, it's going to take you to a calendar where you can then book a call on my calendar, and you can meet with myself or Greg, and we can answer any questions. So that's how you can work with us. But we want to open it up to Q&A. So if anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and ask your questions. And then while we're waiting for questions, Greg, anything that you want to add?
Well, I do have to get ready for my next appointment here. So I'm going to go ahead and say I have a message for the group. I would like the group to go ahead and fill out that form on our website, talk to us, because I can guarantee you we could show you some things that could help your business, whether it's an audit for your website, what you're doing for email marketing, if you got a new concept that you're really kind of playing around with and you want to know will it work or not. And of course, you could use ChatGPT for that. But I want to go ahead and just say, let us know any questions. Book a call. As you can see, hopefully you can see we're two guys that, we like to help people. We're not very scary. And we want to go ahead and just, change how businesses get results using these digital platforms. So I just want to say thank you so much for even, listening to what the both of us talk about and nerd out about this stuff that AJ and I talk about all day. Hopefully you guys found it valuable. And whatever questions, final questions that you do have, reach out to AJ. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. We'll send the email out with the replay so you can watch that. Let's make sure no more questions. Laura, Rose, thank you both for the feedback. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one and have a great day. Talk to you later.
Yeah.